think is the single biggest threat to the world that hasn't got enough attention to?
I think the single biggest threat to the world is pandemic. These have always been the biggest killers of humanity, but the risk is much greater now because we are more connected than ever. The super spreaders of the goods of globalization, for example, airport hubs, can become the super spreaders of the bads, like a pandemic. And it's both the natural pandemics, which are evolving more and more rapidly because of more and more concentration of people, the connection between animals and people, the proximity of slums and bad hygiene in areas near airports in many of the rapidly growing emerging market cities. So all of these things increase the risk of new natural pandemics evolving, and they're spreading around the world more rapidly. But in addition to this, we now have the threat of synthetically made, or people actually building a pandemic using new sequencing techniques. And that is particularly worrying because either by design or maybe even by accident, we could see a pandemic that hasn't been seen before, or if it has been seen, we thought was eliminated, like smallpox coming back. And that would have dramatic consequences.
So what are the measures that you suggest that we can maybe foresee these risks and control them in advance?
We need much more cooperation. We need much more coordination. We need much more resources given to these issues. If you compare, for example, the amount of money and effort going into stopping pandemics to, say, stopping nuclear war or to the military in general, there's no comparison at all. Military gets maybe 500 to 1,000 times more resource and attention than pandemic, but actually the threat to you and me, I think, is much greater from a pandemic. So one is to put more resources into it, to more work into it. Another is to use more coordination. A pandemic can come from anywhere, often a very poor country. So we need to cooperate. We need early warning capability, and our mobile phones and other devices could provide that. And we need the capability to respond very quickly, because with a pandemic, the more quickly you control it in a small area, the more hope you have of containing it. Once it's in an airport, it can be anywhere in the world in 36 hours.